Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be going over the new top 25 going into week 2 of the 2023 college football season. Today, the new top 25 was released, and I actually kind of like it. I think this was a good job by, all the people that do the top 25 every week. Clemson, I thought they deserved to go down, after their horrible loss to Duke, and they did. They dropped 16 spots. I wanted to see Florida State jump up. Same thing goes for Colorado and teams like Notre Dame, who have started off the season to great starts. And even getting to see Alabama jump up a spot as well. I think you saw the polls do a really good job in this first week of the top 25 changing. But all right, let's get into the new top 25. So before I start, I want to go over the two teams who were in it last week, who are out, and two new teams that are in it that weren't in it last week. The two teams that were in it last week that were ranked, that are non-ranked now, are number 17 TCU, who was in the national championship last year, who lost to Colorado 45-42 in their first game of the season. And then number 25, Iowa, who won week 1. They won 24-14. I can't remember who they played, but they won 24-14. But with teams like Colorado and Duke needing to get into the top 25, and only one team in TCU, getting out of the top 25, there needed to be another team in the top 25 to exit out. And that odd man out had to be Iowa. All right, let's go over the new top 25, and starting with number 25 is the Clemson Tigers. Their previous ranking was 9 after they lost 28-7 to Duke. What's next for them? They play Saturday at home versus Charleston Southern on 2:15 p.m. on the ACC network. Number 24 is Tulane. Their previous ranking was 24, so they stay at the same spot after they defeated South Alabama 37-17. Their next game is Saturday versus number 20 Ole Miss, and that game is at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Number 23 is the Texas A&M Aggies, previous ranking being 23, so just like Tulane, they stay in the same spot. They defeated New Mexico 22-10, and their next game is Saturday at Miami against the Miami Hurricanes at 3:30 p.m., and that game is on ABC. Number 22 is the Colorado Buffaloes, after previously being non-ranked and beating TCU, number 17 TCU 45-42. Shedeur Sanders had a Colorado record 510 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns, while Travis Hunter became the first player in FBS in the past 20 years with more than 100 receiving yards and an interception in a single game. What's next for Colorado? Their next game is at home for Coach Prime's head coaching Colorado. His last week was his head coaching debut for Colorado, but this will be his home debut as Colorado's head coach. And this game will be against Nebraska and Matt Rule, who lost last week to Minnesota. And this game is at noon on Fox. That should be good. That should be a fun game. Number 21, who is Duke, who pulled off a great upset against Clemson, 28-7. They were non-ranked before, so they jump up 4 spots, I guess you could say, because they weren't ranked. Their next game is Saturday at home, back-to-back home games versus Lafayette. This game's at 9 p.m. on ESPN+. Great one for Duke this past week. Number 20 will be Ole Miss. Their previous ranking was 22, so they jump up 2 spots. They defeated Mercer 73-7, and they will travel to Tulane for a ranked matchup where you'll see number 20 Ole Miss face off against number 24 Tulane at 3:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Number 19, staying in the same spot, will be Wisconsin. They defeated Buffalo 38-17. Their next game is Saturday at Washington State at 7:30 on ABC. Number 18 is Oklahoma, previous ranking being 20, defeating Arkansas State 73-0. Their next game is Saturday at home versus SMU at SMU Sorry, not at SMU. Against SMU at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Number 17 is North Carolina after defeating South Carolina 31-17, and their quarterback had an unbelievable game. Their next game is at home Saturday versus App State at 5:15 on ACC Network for North Carolina. They're going to be a really underrated team in college football this year. Number 16, jumping up, and by the way, North Carolina jumped up 4 spots, and then number 16 jumping up 2 spots is Oregon State. They defeated San Jose State 42-17, and their next game is Saturday versus UC Davis at 9 p.m. on the Pac-12 Network. Number 15 is Kansas State after defeating Southeast Missouri 45-0, and Will Howard had a really good game as their quarterback. Their next game is Saturday versus Troy, noon on FS1. Number 14 is LSU after losing to number 8 Florida State. They lost 45-24, and that's not a great start for LSU to start the season. Starting off 0-1, their previous ranking was 5. They dropped down 9 spots. But LSU should be able to bounce back when they have their first home game on Saturday versus Grambling at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN+. Number 13 is Oregon. Previous ranking was 15, so they jump up 2 spots. They defeated Portland State 81-7. They scored the most points out of all ranked teams in Week 1. And then also Oregon's 81 points were the most in a Pac-12 opener since Cal scored 86 in 1991. Next game for Oregon is Saturday when they travel to Texas to face off Texas Tech at 7 p.m. on Fox. Number 12 is Utah. After Utah was previously ranked 14, they defeated Florida 24-11 without their starting quarterback. And then now they will travel to Texas to face a Big 12 team when on Saturday they will be at Baylor at noon on ESPN. Number 11 is my favorite team, the Texas Longhorns, staying at 11. Their previous ranking was 11 after defeating Rice 37-10. Their next game will be the biggest game of the whole week and is going to definitely be the best game of the week next week in Week 2, and that is at Alabama. Number 11 facing off against number 3 Alabama, and that game is at 7 p.m. ESPN. I think Texas can definitely put Alabama on upset alert, just like they almost did last season. Number 10 is Notre Dame fighting Irish, jumping up 3 spots after they defeated Tennessee State 56-3 last week. QB Sam Hartman has thrown a touchdown pass in 32 consecutive games, the longest streak in FBS. What's next for them? Saturday at NC State, noon ABC for Notre Dame. Number 9 is Tennessee, previous ranking 12, so they jump up 3 spots after they defeated Virginia 49-13. And then they play next Saturday at home versus Austin P-I. It's spelled P-E-A-Y, and that game is at 5 p.m. on ESPN+. Number 8 is the Washington Huskies. Previous ranking was 10, so they jump up 2 spots after they defeated Boise State 56-19. Their next game is Saturday at home versus Tulsa at 5 p.m. on the Pac-12 Network. Number 7, Penn State stays at the same spot as 7. That was their previous ranking, so they stay at the same spot after they defeated West Virginia 38-15 last week, and Drew Aller finished with 325 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns in his first career start. What's next for Penn State? They play Saturday at home versus Delaware at noon on Peacock. Number 6 is USC. After Caleb Williams has another great game, they stay at the same spot and they're 2-0 after they defeated Nevada 66-14. Caleb Williams became the only third USC quarterback to have 3 career gains of 300 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. What's next for USC? They have a home game Saturday versus Stanford at 10:30 p.m. on Fox. So late game for USC against Stanford on Saturday. Number 5, falling down 2 spots, is Ohio State, as their previous ranking was 3, and they only won by 20 points against Indiana, 23-3, and had multiple turnovers. They have beat Indiana 20 times in a row, 29 times in a row, almost 30, the longest active streak by one current FBS team over another, and great game for Ohio State, but they only scored 23 points and, had a couple turnovers on offense as well. And then you have the great performances by Alabama and Florida State. Here's how I feel. I feel like Alabama and Florida State should have definitely been able to jump Ohio State, and that's what you're seeing with Alabama and Florida State jumping Ohio State, and Ohio State falling down 2 spots. Ohio State's next game is Saturday versus Youngstown State at noon on the Big Ten Network. Number 4, jumping into the top 4 and jumping up 4 spots is Florida State after defeating LSU. Number 5, LSU 45-24. Their next game is Saturday versus Southern Miss, Mississippi at 8:30 p.m. on the ACC Network. All right, number 3 is Alabama Crimson Tide. Previous ranking was 4 after they defeated Middle Tennessee 56-7, and Jalen Moreau became the first Alabama quarterback to ever throw 3 touchdowns and rush for 2 more. What's next for Alabama? Saturday, first number 11, Texas at 7 p.m. on ESPN. As a Longhorns fan, I am just so excited for that game. All right, Michigan is number 2. After they were number 2 last week, they definitely deserve to stay at the same spot, as Michigan defeated East Carolina 30-3, and they just had a really solid game, especially without their head coach Jim Harbaugh. What's next for Michigan? Saturday they play at home versus UNLV at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. And then number 1, no surprise here, are the Georgia Bulldogs. Previous ranking 1, national champions last year, and week 1 result defeating UT Martin 48-7. And their next game is Saturday versus Ball State at noon on the SEC Network. So that is it for the new top 25 and previewing their next matchups. I think everything was right here in this new top 25. I don't know about Texas being at 11. I feel like we could have jumped up to 10 possibly, but I think it would have really been cool to see Texas at 10, because then the Texas-Alabama game would have been a top 10 matchup, but at the same time, that's only 1 spot of a difference. And Texas only beat Rice by 27. But besides that, I think everything was fine in this new top 25. I think everything was pretty right in my opinion, but we'll see how week 2 plans out. We'll see how I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see how Colorado does in week 2 in prime time. Second game as their head coach, in his first home game as their head coach, and then not only that, excited to see how Duke does after getting ranked and after yesterday's win against Clemson. And excited to see what, Florida State and Alabama do next week. Hope Alabama loses as a Longhorns fan, but we'll definitely be excited to see what they do. And how does Ohio State bounce back after dropping down 2 spots and struggling a little bit week 1? They have an easy game next week, but how do they bounce back? Their offense needs to be better. Defense, I wouldn't say they need to be better because they only allowed 3 points, but their offense needs to be better going into week 2. You guys, let me know your thoughts on the new top 25 going into week 2, and that's for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.